Obviously, I've been so busy with the channel rebrand that I haven't had time to touch on Switch 2 news and rumors at all, or really Nintendo news in general apart from the September Direct. So allow me to take a moment to do that here. Quite a bit has played out on this front over the last couple of months, with some of the most credible talk of a next-generation platform we've seen yet. Welcome back to Little Akiba Games, I'm Patrick, let's talk some Nintendo. Now, I've solidly been a member of Team 2025 since all of this next-gen talk got started. I don't think an 8-year cycle for a system as successful as the Switch has been is in any way unrealistic, but it is especially long for Nintendo, who is known for turning around new hardware in just 5 or 6 years, despite the game industry at large having moved on from such short cycles. So I can understand why the installed base is getting a little restless. It's why Shuntaro Furukawa referred to the Switch's longevity as unknown territory. With all of that out of the way, with all of the buzz there is surrounding an imminent reveal and a 2024 launch, honestly, I actually do believe what's being said right now, that we're about to find out what's next for Nintendo and that it's going to release sometime next year. This video isn't going to be me saying why it isn't going to happen. It's going to be me saying why everything about it seems like a bad idea, and how certain parts of the story still just don't mesh. For a long time, I've been planning a video detailing why longer hardware cycles are generally a net positive for gamers, and while that's still in the pipeline, the general idea in this particular case is that it seems really weird that Nintendo appears poised to wind down the current Switch when it's still the hottest thing on the market. Every big release revitalizes system sales, and the all-time hardware sales record is in reach. I still think Metroid Prime 4 is a current-gen title, although I may change my tune on that should we get through the February Direct with no news about it. As long as that's lingering out there, I really feel that the current Switch has unfinished business, and thus plenty of life still to come. Add to this the laundry list of ports and remasters that we already know about that haven't been officially announced, like Metroid Prime 2 and 3, Skies of Arcadia, F-Zero GX, and now the GameCube installments of the Legend of Zelda series, and it's clear that Nintendo could very easily get another couple years out of the Switch. They're just electing not to. This is especially weird because Nintendo has gone through the entire generation without meaningful price drops. Their entire business model since 2006 has involved hanging behind the PlayStation and Xbox hardware of any given generation in terms of horsepower, and using the savings to undercut them at the point of sale. However, the base $250 Switch model remains just barely cheaper than a standard Xbox Series S, and the $350 OLED model is not only undercut by the base Series S, but matched by the new 1TB model. That math isn't mathing when you consider how much beefier that system is. The more Nintendo thing to do would be to drive the Switch hardware prices down in order to spike sales, get their usual advantage back, and make a genuine run at the PS2's crown. It also doesn't bode well for how they intend to make any price point for any meaningful hardware upgrade make sense in the scope of the broader market landscape. Are they going to go up into actual PS5 pricing territory with a system that's roughly in the wheelhouse of the 8th gen consoles by all indications? There's a lot of talk that Nintendo is going to have to hit the $400 mark for the first time in its history, but that means they would be asking for PS5 Digital Edition money, at least as long as there are still original digital models out there to be bought, and more than any Xbox Series S money. Did Nintendo win enough clout with the Switch that they can really start asking for similar money to the competition again? Do they even want to be the competition again after having gone their own way for nearly 2 decades? It just doesn't seem very well advised to me. Better for them to drop the entire Switch line to a top end of $250 and ride that out for a while, so that the $300 price point is cleared up for the Switch 2, where they can stay well below the competition's more compelling offerings. To another point that I've already addressed before, there's the reality that the game development cycle for an average, meaning non-AAA title, in this day and age is about 2 to 3 years. We already know that the dev kits went out just this past spring, so a holiday 2024 launch would only give developers a year and a half with the new hardware. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to launch a system with some software support on that timetable, but that support would likely come in the form of very limited and probably gimmicky shovelware. Not really the launch lineup any of us should be clamoring for, but certainly the types of games that Nintendo has shown a propensity for in the past. I've posed the question before of whether a Switch 2 would be palatable even if the first year or two of its existence was defined not by any exclusive software, but simply by its ability to play original Switch games better. The response was probably not what Nintendo wants to hear given the fact that it seems to be the plan now. Obviously, the Switch launch was built around The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but it was also backed by great exclusives like Fast RMX and Super Bomberman R, and I'm just not sure the Switch 2 can get a supporting cast like that turned out in just a year and a half. We'll have to see. Finally, the elephant in the room remains the massive order of current Switch components that Nintendo recently placed. That's not the look of a company getting ready to sunset their current platform. It's the look of a company that's preparing to make a mad dash toward the hardware sales record. I won't say it discredits the possibility of a 2024 launch, as again, there's just too much credible buzz out there that it's exactly what Nintendo plans to do, but it certainly would cut the legs out from under such a push. We'll have to see how all this shakes out, but right now it just feels like the 2024 launch that is likely to happen is going to come at the cost of a lot. It makes me really nervous about Nintendo's next-gen prospects. With all that having been said, I do find a silver lining to all of this. There's admittedly some wisdom in launching consoles in advance of their supporting software, to give the market a chance to counter inevitable supply issues and reseller interference before the broader market has to worry about missing out on meaningful releases. Now, I've talked before about how platform holders can take over distribution entirely in order to fast-track this process and weed out the middlemen from the onset, but as frustrating as it might be in the moment, we may just be going into an age where most new consoles exist entirely as just an advanced version of their predecessors for a couple of years. I hope that isn't the case, but I can't pretend it wouldn't be entirely without its merits either. That's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it all helps grow the channel. Click the notification bell to know right away when the next video is up. This has been Little Akiba Games, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time.